Hello. Well, it's heavy breathing. And there's a duck watching over him, innit? There's a duck watching over Jimbers. Anyway, hello. Today I'd like to take a look at some books. And then it's a very grizzly grey day, I'm afraid, it's outside, so sorry about the lighting. This is a cracker. It's called Speed, The Authentic Life of Sir Malcolm Campbell by J. Wentworth Day. There's obviously some paper cuttings because there always is, isn't it, wherever I've got any books. My dad bought me this book very many years ago. That's Sir Malcolm Campbell there. He was a land speed record holder. Long before the days of the space race, mankind was determined to go fast on Earth, as it were. And this is what this chap did. And he was very successful. Trouble is, this old book, bless it, it's so sticky paged. It's like, I don't know why. God, who's had this under the covers at night? But it's so damp and old. It's like that's what I'm looking for. It's a very old book from 1931. Oh, there you go. Somebody's been shooting an air pistol at it as well, probably sort of, I don't know what's going on. What do I know? But there are some great pictures. So, Malcolm Campbell, he was a motor racer who turned into a land speed record holder. He was up against people like Sir Henry Seagrave, who were also into the game, and later on there was John Cobb. And when Sir Malcolm died, what's that all about? Camping is always good. Take your own beer. But there's all the medals and cups that you won. Look at that, trophies for all the different things that he did. My goodness, oh my God. But having said that, where are we? He used to race around a place in Surrey. I can't remember now. It's an old racetrack, and it's gone. It was an old circuit, a banked circuit. It's gone now. Can't remember the name of it. Sorry, brains going. Just left the building, man. Never even said goodbye. But this is a good book. If you can get hold of a copy of that, well, good luck. Because, I mean, that one is very, very, very rare. So, then his son comes in. Malcolm's son is Donald. And he effectively takes to the water speed record. That's Donald. And he is quite determined, although he had self-admittedly was very frightened of it. He pursued the world water speed record. All these cuttings, I've got all these cuttings in it. I don't know what the cuttings are. More cuttings than cuttings. But this is a very good book, Arthur Knowles. So Donald went up mostly to the Lake District in the UK and did his thing up there. So that's what are you doing though? What's he talking about though, this little dog? He's talking the whole time. He's talking into it to me, this little dog. Hop up next to me, come on. Hop up next to me. What are you talking about, little pup? So there's a schematic of the boat, right? How it worked. It was a barrel-engined Bristol barrel-engined jet boat. I mean, unbelievable, really. Which was later replaced by a Bristol Siddeley Orpheus engine, and it was capable of doing well over 170 odd miles per hour on water. A hydroplane. Ugh. It looked like this. It was a hydroplane. These are called sponson arms, and that's the transom. So what it does is it jets up, right? It gets up to speed. It's very cumbersome, like a whale when it first starts, and then suddenly aquaplanes. It's on the surface of the water, and my God, does it go? Because the old jet engine just roars away. And Donald would pilot this darn thing up to speeds of well over 200 miles per hour in the end. In fact, when he sadly died at Lake Coniston on the 4th of January 1967, the boat flipped and killed him. But he was doing, they reckon, close to 300 miles per hour on water. You have to believe on water, not on land. I mean, it would be bloody denerving enough if it was on if it was on land, but it wasn't. It was on water. So that was the Bluebird. It was called the K7, and that infinity symbol is the Lloyd's of London insurance grouping, which means that it's unclassified because it can't be classified because it travels so fast. So the later version of the book is the Bluebird years. The same dude, see, Arthur Knowles, and this is the updated version, and it's a good one. This documents the discovery of Donald Campbell, because when he crashed in 1967, his body was never recovered. They found bits, and they found his lucky mascot, Mr. Woppet. Which are you Mr. Woppet though? Is it? Are you Mr. Woppet? With a one of the tickly Tom Woppet chocolate? But Donald had a teddy bear, not unlike this one, in actual fact, which he called Mr. Woppet. And it was a lucky mascot that he carried with him wherever he went. Well, he didn't bloody go to bed with it, but he carried it on the boats and cars that he drove. He also, well, he did a remarkable thing, Donald Campbell, because he broke the land speed record and the world water speed record in 1964, I think it was. This was his car. It was the Bluebird CN7. It was a wheel-driven car. It wasn't a jet. It was a turbine prop engine or something like that, and it was wheel-driven. Before the jet age, they used to do the. They had jets. What am I on about? The brain. Hello, brain, work, please. They had, before the jet age, they had turbine engines that they used to use and these were designed by the Norris brothers. These most of Donald's exploits were designed by a pair of brothers called the Norris brothers. And this was the car that he used to great effect. It didn't originally have a tail fin, but it crashed and nearly killed Donald at something like 300 miles per hour, which is ridiculous. And eventually they added the tail fin, which they did to the boat as well, because that didn't have it originally either. And ultimately he got the land speed record at 401.3 miles per hour, which is quite impressive. This car is in Bewley Motor Museum, in the National Motor Museum of Bewley in Hampshire, if you're interested to look at it. You can see it. It's a whopper. I mean, you can see how tiny the little cockpit is, where Donald would have sat to the bulk of the car. And, well, yeah, awesome. This one is in the Bewley Motor Museum as well. This was owned by Sir Henry Seagrave. It's the Golden Arrow. It's another land speed record car, but from an earlier era, from a much earlier era. This would be around and about the Malcolm Campbell era. But a lovely toy, is it? A model. I mean, I don't think children should play with these. I think these are far too delicate, you know. Certainly that. I'm not going to float that in the bath, innit? I'll just stick to the little rubber ducks that I've got. So that's a good book for the Bluebird years. Into the Water Barrier was written by Donald himself, and it was his exploits basically up to the 1950s, through the 1950s. He was in Ullswater a lot. He eventually died on Coniston Water. But a great book. So there's the young Donald with his dad, Malcolm, Sir Malcolm. Obviously, Sir Malcolm was a very, very famous British pioneer of speed, you know, and so he was knighted. Sadly, Donald wasn't, which is a shame. That's one of the earlier. Donald was a CBE, the commander of the British Empire, but he wasn't knighted, which is a shame, as he should have been. That's Donald in the Bluebird at Coniston. The original Bluebird his father had was like a shaft propeller-driven boat, K4. And then eventually Donald turned them into jets with the help of a very clever engineer whose name slips my mind at the moment, actually. My brain is gone. Leo Villa. Leo Villa was his mechanic, who used to sort of tune and do all the bits and bobs for the boats and what have you. But it was a right performance. It was a real circus. You know, whenever they went out on a record attempt, everybody was very, very interested. And Donald married this very beautiful woman called Tonia Bern, who I believe is still alive. Bless her. She's probably getting on a bit, but she's still going. And she was a lounge singer. And that's no innuendo. She genuinely was a very, very, very good singer, you know. And there's another little pamphlet, Bluebirds over Coniston, which is the village is very Coniston village where he eventually died, obviously on the record attempt. I'll put a link in the description box below of the crash. Unfortunately, what he had. He was a very brave man. He went all the way to the end. You know, he was on a radio link, obviously, to the Longines timers that were timing the event, and he just calmly said, "I'm going. Oh God, the bow's up. I'm going." My God, was he ever going? He died, obviously, smashed up. They did eventually find him. A diver found him and the craft, and they've restored it, which is awesome. They've actually restored the darn thing. There it is today in modern day. This is the Bluebird. Obviously, there's certain parts that have been hand custom built, but they've got it running again. Can you believe it? It goes up and down the lake, and 50 years on, Campbell's Bluebird flies again. See, this is the bit where a diver. He was a Yorkshireman, I think. I think so. Anyway, hats off to the chap. He was a deep diver, because Coniston Lake is about 700 metres deep, mate. It's not like you're not just sort of fishing with a fishing net for minnows, isn't it? You have to be wearing special suits and things. But this chap found the darn thing, raised it, and effectively restored it over a large period of time. Again, I'll leave a link in the description box below, because it's very interesting. I find it very interesting anyway. But there are some classic photos. I don't know if I can find them quickly, but there are some classic photos of Donald. Well, there's one of the boat going. Used to leave this massive plume of spray as it roared along the lake in hundreds of miles per hour. You know, very, 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 very awesome for its era. Let's face it. There he is. There's Donald with the boat. He loved that craft, although it was eventually his ending. But that would be him with the Bluebird climbing in. It made a very specific sound when it started. It was a very funny thing, because it was a jet. I mean, it was a jet. It should have been in a Gnat fighter. But he was determined to up the record, because there were, well, the record is now held by an Australia, mate. Hello, g'day, how's it going? Well, you all right, mate? By a bloke called Ken Warby has it, and he only has just got it a little bit higher than Donald had it, and no one else has bothered. Well, no, that's not true. They have tried, attempted, but they've died. So it's obviously a very dangerous game, water speed recording, and well, Donald was a master at it. He for years. You can see there the boat hasn't got the tail fin on it. You see. Then it had the tail fin. No, it's not what the tail fin. That was added for stability. But no, good gosh, you know, there he is. He was a very, very charming fellow, very, very eloquent, and of course the women loved him, and he was a sort of speed hero of his day. So I can highly recommend. That's the schematic of the boat. It must have been bloody terrifying to be doing 300 miles per hour on water. I couldn't imagine it myself. Well, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the darn thing. It wouldn't happen. No way. There's no way. I would clamber into a boat that could do 300 miles per hour on water. Not unless I was passed out drunk, sort of thing, you know. But no, and I'd have to be in the back as ballast, sort of thing, innit? But anyway, I hope you found this of some interest. My collection, I've got a huge collection of them books actually. I have many more than these, because I'm very interested in water speed records. And you can see I put Jimmy to sleep, as I hope I haven't put everyone else to sleep. But well, there you go. That's me, innit? Mr. Boring. Oh well. Thanks ever so much for watching, and all the very best wishes. Cheers.